Hello and welcome to This Date in History, also known as TDH. This show is all about the events that occurred to date in years past, both recognized by actual historians, but mainly things that we personally find intriguing enough for us to gather for you. Anyway, the sources of this information comes from the Smart Device application, Today in History, What Happened Today in History, Historical Calendar, and the website onthisday.com. For links to those sources, and music, and anything else we gather throughout the show, check the underbar description below. Anyway, I am Xander, and I know we didn't do a show yesterday. We decided to just take a little bit of a break. Sohan is MIA. He's still doing the work behind the scenes, but he's not going to be here today. He's somewhere, I don't know. Anyway, today is Thursday, also known as Thursday, June 9th, 2022. Starting us off in the year 411 BC, before Christ, not before Common Era. Stop this crap. It's funny. They censor God on TV, but you can say damn, you can say hell, you can say shit. You know, you can say everything, but you can't say God because, oh, that might offend somebody. Heathens. Anyway, the Athenian coup succeeded, forming a short-lived oligarchy. Doing a pretty good time jump here, jumping up into the year 53, the Roman Emperor Nero married Claudia Octavia. And I believe today is also the either birthday or death day of Nero. I don't remember. I think the death day. I don't know. Oh, it is 68. Nero committed suicide after quoting Virgil's Aeneid, thus ending the Julio-Claudian dynasty and starting the civil war known as the Year of the Four Emperors. That's a wild story. Go check it out. Anyway, jumping 11 to 721, Odo of Aquitaine defeated the Moors in the Battle of Toulouse. 747, during the Abbasid Revolution, Abu Muslim Khorasani began an open revolt against Umayyad rule, which was carried out under the sign of the Black Standard. Almost doubling the years here, doing another time jump into 1311, Ducio's Manista, a seminal artwork of the early Italian Renaissance, was unveiled and installed in Siena Cathedral in Siena, Italy. Let's take a look at this. What is this painting? Let's see here. Images. Oh, this one. Okay. All right. In 1523, the Parisian Faculty of Theology find Simon D. Collins for publishing the biblical commentary Commentari Iniziatori in Quatuor Evangelia by Joaquin Lefebvre d'Etaples. 1534, Jacques Cartier was the first European to describe and map the St. Lawrence River. Interesting. 1667, during the Second Anglo-Dutch War, the raid on the Medway by the Dutch fleet began. It lasted for 5 days and resulted in the worst ever defeat of the Royal Navy. Wow. 1732, James Oglethorpe was granted a royal charter for the colony of the future U.S. state of Georgia. Cool. That's where early Kyler lives, Squidbillies. 1772, the British schooner Gaspee was burned in Narragansett Bay, Rhode Island. That's a word I should know, but I don't. So, anyway, 1798, during the Irish Rebellion of 1798, the battles of Arklow and Saintfield occurred. Moving on up into 1815, the end of the Congress in Vienna saw the new European political situation being set. Interesting. Entire Europe. In 1856, 500 Mormons left Iowa City, Iowa for the Mormon Trail. Yeah. Cults always have and always will exist. In 1862, during the American Civil War, Stonewall Jackson concluded his successful Shenandoah Valley campaign with a victory in the Battle of Port Republic. His tactics during this campaign are now studied by militaries around the world. Yeah, look at that guy. Stonewall Jackson. Too bad he got shot in friendly fire and then died, 2-3 days later? Something like that. 1 year later, in 1863, also during the American Civil War, the Battle of Brandy Station in Virginia, the largest cavalry battle on American soil, ended Confederate cavalry dominance in the Eastern Theater. 1885, the Treaty of Tientsin was signed to end the Sino-French War, with China eventually giving up Tonkin and Annam, most of present-day Vietnam, to France. Wow. So, yeah, China really was everywhere. And they're going everywhere again. 1900, Indian nationalist Birsa Munda died of cholera in a British prison. Aww. 15 years later, in 1915, William Jennings Bryan resigned as Woodrow Wilson's Secretary of State over a disagreement regarding the United States' handling of the sinking of the RMS Lusitania. As I said the other day, you know, that's the ship that got shot and, got us into World War I. 1922, Allen's Regional Assembly convened for its first plenary session in Mariehamn, Åland. Today, this day is celebrated as Self-Government Day of Åland. What does plenary mean? Plenary. I know what disciplinary means. Plenary. Unqualified or absolute. Okay. So it's absolute meaning. Okay. 365 days later, in 1923, Bulgaria's military took over the government in a coup. Uh-oh. 1928, Charles Kingsford Smith completed the first trans-Pacific flight in a Fokker trimotor monoplane, the Southern Cross. A trimotor monoplane. Sounds like something with 3 in 1. Let's see here. Is that like 3 engines all together or something? Southern Cross. Plane. Trimotor? Oh, here we go. Okay. Monoplane, like 1 wing. Okay, I see. Alright. Anyway, moving on up into 1930, the Chicago Tribune reporter Jake Lingley was killed during rush hour at the Illinois Central train station by Leo Vincent Brothers, allegedly over a $100,000 gambling debt owed to Al Capone. Oh, wow. Yeah, you're gonna get you all the money. 1944, in World War II, 99 civilians were hanged from the lampposts and balconies by German troops in Toul, France, in reprisal for Mascarard's attacks. Viva la Revolution! Also 1944, and also during the Second World War, the Soviet Union invaded East Karelia and the previously Finnish parts of Karelia occupied by Finland since 1941. Yep, the Winter War, I believe, or the war after the Winter War. It's just much like how World War II is an extension of World War I, the Winter War just got extended and it escalated, it seems. 1953, the Flint-Worcester tornado outbreak sequence killed 94 people in Massachusetts. Wow. I had no idea they had tornadoes up there. 1 year later, in 1954, Joseph N. Welch, special counsel for the United States Army, lashed out at Senator Joseph McCarthy during the Army McCarthy hearings, giving McCarthy the famous rebuke, "You've done enough. Have you no sense of decency, sir? At long last, have you left no sense of decency?" End quote. You can't handle the truth! 1959, the U.S.S. George Washington was launched, becoming the first nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine. And George Washington ain't swinging axes anymore, I tell you that. 1965, the civilian Prime Minister of South Vietnam, Phan Huy Quat, resigned after being unable to work with a junta led by Nguyen Cao Ky. Also in 1965, during the Vietnam War, the Viet Cong commenced combat with the Army of the Republic of Vietnam in the Battle of Dong Xoai, one of the largest battles in the war. Now, is it that war, or because technically Vietnam has been at war for about 100 years. You know, when they first got, well, they were China, and then they were owned by France, and then the rest is history. 2 years later, 1967, during the Six-Day War, Israel captured the Golan Heights from Syria. 365 days later, in 1968, U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson declared a national day of mourning following the assassination of Senator Robert F. Kennedy. 4 years later, in 1972, severe rainfall caused a dam in the Black Hills of South Dakota to burst, creating a flood that killed 238 people and caused $160 million in damage. Wow. One more year later, 1973, in horse racing, Secretariat won the U.S. Triple Crown. But it only has one head. Well, you put the other 2 crowns on his hooves? 1978, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints opened its priesthood to all worthy men, ending a, well, quote-unquote all worthy men, ending a 148-year-old policy of excluding black men. Oh, good. Took them that long to do that? Wow. 1 year later, 1979, the Ghost Train fire at Luna Park, Sydney, Australia, killed 7. 1995, Ansett New Zealand Flight 703 crashed in the Tararua Range during approach to Palmerston North Airport on the North Island of New Zealand, killing 4. That's not too bad. 1999, during the Kosovo War, the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia and NATO signed a peace treaty. Jumping on up into 2008, 2 bombs exploded at a train station near Algiers in Algeria, killing at least 13 people. And like, as I said, before, that's not too bad. It's still awful. It's still awful. People die. But 4 people is not like, 45. So, I don't know. At what point does numbers just become statistics? In 2009, an explosion killed 17 people and injured at least 46 at a hotel in Peshawar, Pakistan. Well, I think that article just answered my question. And in 2010, 12 years ago, can you believe that? At least 40 people were killed and more than 70 wounded in a suicide bombing at a wedding party in Arghandab, Kandahar. Oh, there we go, more statistics. So, yeah, it looks like history taught me well. Moving on up into bursts, starting in the year 1016, we have Daejong of Goryeo, ruler of Korea, dying in 1034. 1597, Pieter Janssens Serendam was a Dutch painter, died in 1665. And why is his name spelled like Pierre Jans Saracen? Huh. Well, that's just it. I guess period was part of his name. That's interesting. 1674, Peter the Great, Russian emperor, dying in 1725. 1696, Shiva Rajaram, an infant Chhatrapati of the Maratha Empire, dying in 1726. What is this? Is that? I think this is some kind of like ruler position. Yeah, the king of kings / the emperor. This title was used by the House of Bonsal. Equivalents. Well, it's not telling me what the equivalent here is. Well, this is just some guy here. Anyway, yeah, I was right. It was a position of authority, but he was an infant. God, monarchies are so stupid. 1754, Francis Mackenzie, 1st Baron Seaforth, was born on the States. He was an English general and politician who was a governor of Barbados, dying in 1815. 1781, George Stephenson was an English engineer who designed the Liverpool and Manchester Railway. Interesting. He died in 1848. 1837, Anne Isabella Thackeray Ritchie was an English author, dying in the year 1919. 1842, Hazard Stevens was born on the state. What a name, Hazard. He was a U.S. military officer, mountaineer, politician, and writer, dying in 1918. 1849, Michel Anker was a Danish painter and academic, dying in 1927. 1861, Gustav Heinrich Johann Apollon Taman was a Russian-German chemist and physicist, dying in 1938. 1885, Felician Sławoj Składkowski was a Polish general and politician who was the 27th Prime Minister of Poland, dying in 1962. 1898, oh man, what a horrifyingly perfect name. Luigi Fagioli, an Italian race car driver, dying in 1952. I had no idea that Pride Month had its own noodle shape. Fagioli. 1906, Robert Clark Graham was a U.S. eugenicist and businessman who founded Repository for Germinal Choice, dying in 1997. 1908, Branch McCracken, U.S. basketball player and coach, dying in 1970. 1910, Robert Cummings was born on the States. He was a U.S. actor, singer, and director, dying in 1990. 1915, Les Paul, a U.S. guitarist and songwriter, dying in 2009. did he invent the Les Paul guitar? Les Paul invention. Multi-track recording. No. Did Les Paul invent the electric guitar? No. Inventor and innovator guitarist Les Paul is best known for his inventor of the namesake solid body electric guitar, the Gibson Les Paul. Yes. So this guy, guitarist and songwriter who invented solid body, invented his namesake solid body electric guitar. Sorry folks, gotta do a quick live edit. Here we go. Alright, 1916. Robert McNamara was a U.S. businessman and politician who was the 8th United States Secretary of Defense, died in 2009. 1917, Eric Hobsbawm. Is that really what? No, that can't be right. I think I typoed there, but is that his actual name? Yeah, Eric Hobsbawm, something like that. Anyway, he was an Egyptian English historian and author, dying in 2012. 1924, Ed Farhat. Well, you know, was there a near hat, far hat, a medium hat? You know, like he was a U.S. wrestler and manager, dying in 2003. 1925, Herman Sarkowski was a German U.S. businessman and philanthropist who co-founded the Seattle Seahawks. Died in 2014. And there's a lot of births today, aren't there? 1926, Happy Rockefeller was born on this date. She was a U.S. philanthropist and the 31st Second Lady of the United States of America, dying in 2015. 1943, Charles Saatchi was an Iraqi English businessman who co-founded Saatchi & Saatchi. Is an Iraqi, yeah. 1946, Data Haidara was a Gambian journalist and publisher who co-founded The Point, dying in 2004. 1946, Peter Kilfoyle is an English politician. Kilfoyle, like aluminum foil that kills you or something. 1946 as well, Giulio Terzi di Sant'Agata is an Italian politician and diplomat who was an Italian minister of foreign affairs. 1952, Uzi Hitman, Israeli singer-songwriter, dying in 2004. What a fitting name, Uzi Hitman. Well, violent name for violent people. 1959, Peter Fowler is an Australian golfer, and I hope he doesn't live up to his name. You know, nobody wants to foul in a golf. 1961, Michael J. Fox, Canadian U.S. actor, producer, and author. 1963, Johnny Depp, a U.S. actor and common female victim, after his wife or whatever left a little present on the bed. She really is an animal, in a bad way. Then 1978, Heather Mitts, a U.S. soccer player. And I wonder if she has any, hand mitts. Mitts. It's Heather's mitts. It's Heather's mitts. Anyway, moving on up into deaths. In 68, we have Nero, the Roman emperor, was born in 37. 373, Ephraim the Syrian. Can you imagine what he was? Take a wild guess. He was a hymnographer and theologian, born in 306. 597, Columba, Irish missionary and saint, was born in 521. But who was Columbia named after? Christopher Columbus. Okay. Well, I guess not Columba. Poor Columba, just one letter away from being Columbia, but not even the person that they used to call Columbia. Anyway, 630, Shaharbaraj, king of the Persian Empire, birth unknown. 908, Yang Wo, prince of Hong Kong, birth unknown. 1075, Gebhard of Supplenberg, Saxon count, birth unknown. 1238, Peter des Roches was a bishop of Winchester, birth as unknown. And 1252, Otto I, Duke of Brunswick-Luneburg, birth unknown. 1563, William Paget, 1st Baron Paget, died on the States. He was an English accountant and politician who was a Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, birth 1506. 1870, Charles Dickens was an English novelist and critic, born in 1812. We all know who Charles Dickens is. 1871, Anna Atkins was an English botanist and photographer, born in 1799. Wonder if she has anything to do with the Atkins diet, you know. 1956, we have Chandrasekhar Agassi, was an Indian industrialist and lawyer, born in 1888. 1958, Robert Donat, English actor, was born in 1905. His actual name is Donat, but Donat. In 1963, we have Jacques Villon, French painter, 1875. 1964, Max Aitken, 1st Baron Beaverbrook, died on the States. He was a British businessman and politician who was a Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, was born in 1879. 2004, Brian Williamson was a Jamaican activist who co-founded J-Flag, was born in 1945. 2009, Dick May, U.S. race car driver, was born in 1930. 2010, Ken Brown was a British guitarist who is a member of the Quarrymen, was born in 1940. 2011, M.F. Hussain, Hussain, was an Indian painter and director, was born in 1915, but what's his actual name? Let's see here. Makbul Fida Hussain. Alright. Nobody wants to be called an MFer, you know. I mean, unless you have a child, then you are an MFer. And actually, it's your actions that made her an M. In 2012, John Maples, Baron Maples, was an English lawyer and politician who was a Shadow Secretary of State for Defense, born in 1943. And then in 2017, Adam West, U.S. actor and investor. He was born in 1928. He was also the mayor of Quahog, and for a while, he was also Batman, you know? So this guy, he had a lot of stuff under his belt. Utility belt. And that concludes the show. Once again, you can check the underbar, the description for any links that you may be interested in, which also includes Sohen TV on Twitch. Go check him out. He does good hard work, you know. Good gaming guy. Pretty funny. Awesome afro. Go check him out. Anyway, for your dose of Passive and Daily, we stream every day at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Well, between 10 in the morning. And, between 10 and 11 in the morning Pacific time. Which is 12 to 1 Central. For all of you and all of us, I am Xander, and you are you, and until you see us tomorrow, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Until then, toodles! Let's go, Brandon. I need to breathe.